Hi, good evening. The topic of my paper and presentation is evaluating the use of social media in middle and high school classrooms. Now, I'm going to start with something a little unexpected: AI. As a computer science teacher, I'm constantly dealing with AI generated code, and I often think to myself, what programming skills do I want my students to learn and why? Where do I draw the line and why? In some ways, this reminds me of what happened way back in the 90s when Google's search engine replaced going to the library or speaking to a person to get information. At that time, the premium shifted away from just finding information towards higher level skills such as understanding, evaluating, and using that information. Now, AI has done something very similar. Large language models can not only read and summarize content, they can also compare and contrast and present an argument. With that in mind, what skills do our students need in order to be successful? In my reflections, as I analyze all of this in the context of Bloom's taxonomy, I come to the following conclusion. I want my students to understand foundational concepts in enough depth to be able to leverage these large language models to write good code. Code that holds the potential to develop solutions to problems that remain unsolved, to find new and efficient solutions, to find unique solutions to fit the needs of all those unique pockets of population. My thoughts about this topic. I think the use of social media in education has followed a very similar path. And can the use of social media be leveraged for higher level learning? This is a question I will be answering today. My thesis, now here's what I think. Social media isn't automatically good or bad for the classroom. It's a powerful medium, but its value depends entirely on how intentional its use is. Done well, it can push students towards real high level thinking. Done carelessly, it's a waste of time. In the upcoming slides, I will present my research on how social media can be used successfully, along with some caveats. The theoretical case for using social media in educational settings. On paper, the case for social media in education is really compelling. Its entire design, the commenting features, remixing, publishing to a real audience, makes it dream material in terms of Bloom's taxonomy. Ledgerwood argues that it turns students into co-producers instead of passive recipients. Klein makes a similar case for tools like Minecraft. Robinson and Robinson talk about digital literacy as a meta literacy that can actually activate other kinds of literacy, such as critical thinking and social justice awareness. And Ting shows how something like a hashtag movement can teach digital citizenship that feels really real and not abstract. But all of these are not. But none of these are empirical studies. These are strong theoretical studies and essentially advocacy pieces, but not proof. So, where's the proof? So I went looking for actual proof. The strongest empirical support that I found was Hamadi and colleagues, who tested the use of LinkedIn for cooperative learning in real graduate classrooms. And their finding was interesting. It wasn't the platform doing the work. Instead, it was clear instructions that were the real driver of success. Now, that said, this was a narrow study. There were 151 graduate IT students, one university, one platform. But it tells us something. It tells us that structure works in that context. It doesn't tell us whether it will work in the same way in a seventh grade classroom using Instagram, for example. As I was as I was thinking about all of this and doing my research, I also thought of what exactly is the use of social media. And the one thing that really shifted my thinking was Kay's work. She points out that most research never actually defines what using social media means. Now, there's a real difference between volume, which is how much time somebody spends, and use, which is how they're interacting with social media. Passive scrolling, as we all know, is not the same as active collaboration, which is actually real learning. But all of these get clubbed together and used in the same context. My work also got me thinking about the definition of social media and if it can be widened. If something like Minecraft counts as social media because it's collaborative and participatory, then why wouldn't something like GitHub or an open access citizen science platform be classified as social media? Both of these are public, both are collaborative, and honestly, a student contributing to real code to a real project or real data to real research is doing exactly the kind of active, creative level work that Bloom's taxonomy talks about. So this kind of brings me back to where I started. I feel that AI and social media are doing something very similar. Both of them are shifting the premium away from consuming information towards directing it, evaluating it, and creating with it. But none of that is going to happen automatically. Teachers have to play a deliberate and intentional role in how they use these tools. And for me, the real takeaway is, as a teacher, is simple. Don't ban these tools out of fear and don't adopt them blindly out of hype. Ask specifically, what is the value that this use is actually adding for my students? And how can I leverage it to maximize student learning? Here are references for the materials that I used in my research. Thank you.